Broadcasting to YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. It's the LNG Taxi Podcast.
Happy New Year on the LNG Taxi Podcast. We're back for 2022. I'm Gary.
I'm Lee, and a Happy New Year to you all.
And I hope you had a good New Year's Eve as well. Right, 2022. You fancy a new job, you're sick of your old job, and you want to become a taxi driver. Work your own hours, earn your own money. Fantastic.
But there are pitfalls to it, which we want to sort of like guide you through today, because it ain't easy when you got to sort of like make up the money at the end of the week.
And this video is called The Brutal Reality of Taxi Driving. We have got the brutal reality of taxi driving. Biggest thing of all, when you start to get, the biggest thing of all, of course, is getting your license. That's a hard job in itself these days, isn't it, as well?
Well, as you work for Sefton Council, because then you can get it quite easily, because everyone seems to be getting theirs quite easy at Sefton Council.
But it's just the
moolah.
And also, see, I took my test in the 90s. Right, I know it cost me 15 quid and a knowledge test. The knowledge test was like about 30 questions from a handbook, and that basically was it.
I had 40 quid. I think my test was about 30, 40 quid, something like that. You know what I mean? With 40 questions, and I had to remember 6 of those routes that were on there.
And so, that was basically it.
Basically, yeah. And the good thing about it was it had 2 Hackney questions in, which why I was able to get me Hackney badge at the same time. So.
And we were doing the private hire.
Yeah.
But
so
back in the day, see, when you did it, you did it when there was sat-navs around or before sat-navs?
Oh, no, so I was still doing it with sat-navs.
Ah, see, when I did it, because I'm older, when I did it, there was no sat-navs. Sat-navs weren't even invented.
I still remember having to use the A to Z when I used to do courier driving. So, I mean, they were like, our sat-navs of the day were the A to Z maps.
I mean, I should say we're both wearing caps, aren't we?
We are wearing caps. Yes, this is getting a little bit too. I'm meant to be the one that wears the caps. You're meant to be the one that's sort of. Have you not had your hair cut?
Well, it's been cut, but it hasn't been combed.
Okay.
So today I've rushed out and I've rushed here to our little studio, and I haven't had time to do my hair yet. So that's why I'm wearing the cap. It's all vanity, isn't it? All for vanity.
Well, no, I just came from the gym. I just look like this. That's just basically it. That's just another scruffy, rugged mess that I am.
That's how we roll. Right. So, okay. So it's going to cost you across the country. It varies, but in the northwest of England, here in Liverpool, North Sefton, license, it costs you about 500 quid to get going with your license. You got to do your VRQ and your MVQ. You got to do your medical, your DVL check, all that. About 500 quid in it altogether to get that on the road.
Then let's not forget that you've got to do a taxi MOT, and you've also,
which is different from your normal
MOT. And you've also then, after your car does pass the MOT, you then have to go and buy your plate. Now your plate can be around £139, I think it is, for the year.
So it's paying £139 a year for your place. But you might think, I'm not going to buy a car, I'll rent a car. You can do that. You're looking at about £230 a week to rent a car. You can get one cheaper, but not reliable. The best thing to do now is go and get a hybrid, and they're at £230 a week in this area. Across the country it varies, of course, as well. But about £230 a week to start on your hybrid. So are you any good at maths?
Am I any good at maths? Well, I don't know. I should be with us being a taxi driver, but go on, let's try this out.
Hang on, I'll go and get my calculator.
Okay.
Wait there. I'm just going. It's in the next room.
Okay, you
keep
go.
talking. I'll be back in a minute.
Right. Okay. So he's off to go and get his calculator. Right. So this is what it is. If you drive a bus like me, there are other companies that will do it at various prices for you. At this moment in time, I'm touching quite lucky. I'm on a settled buy scheme, which means I'm getting my bus for about £100 a week, plus the 50 insurance, and I'm also buying the Hackney plate that goes with it. So it's costing me all in all, over a 4.5 year period, I'm paying something like about 30 grand for mine. But yes, that's what I wanted, that's what it's going to cost. Now, like I said, that's my personal choice of me wanting to buy my bus. There are other people that will be renting them. Renting them though, I'm not too sure how much some places are doing them. For the brand new Mercedes, you're probably looking at about £300 up just to rent one of them bad boys out, because trust me, they're like chauffeur limousines, these things. So I mean, just be careful who you go and see, and make sure you get yourself the good deal. He's back.
I'm back. Sorry. Right, let's break this down then into weekly. So before I can start my week as a driver, right?
Okay.
I'm going to add this up now. So before I start my week as a driver,
yes,
I'm on Uber, of course, so I don't pay a commission up front. It gets taken off at source as you move through the week. Okay. So I've got my badge. I've got my license. I'm all ready to go. So I need a car. I'll go and rent a car. £230 a week. Okay, to start myself off. So I've got to pay that up front.
Like we said, there are other places that will vary in prices. Do what's best for you.
Around that. Okay, I'm just going for my figures, but they're slightly up and down, but similar to me. But obviously, these are my figures only. So for me, it's £230 a week. Then I'll put fuel in for the week.
Ooh.
£100. Okay.
So that's already 330.
Yeah, that's already £330. I haven't left the house yet. I'm still in the house. Okay, £330 a week. I've got to eat up now while I'm out on the road. Say a tenner a day for food.
God, you're cheap.
And that's being really skinflintly cheap. Now you're doing a 10-hour shift as well, so before I even walk out my front door, £340 already. I'm down, so I'm backwards £340 before I even earn a penny. I log on to the app. So before I take a penny in profit, I've got to clear £340, and that's every single week before I move. Now, if you're on a rental company, if you're working not on Uber, because Uber don't have increasingly taking the source, but I'm paying Uber 25% commission anyway. But with holiday pay, it comes down a little bit from that. But if I was on your company, which is called Phoenix Village,
so we're paying £110 a week, which is our like settle, obviously radio hire, whatever else you want to call it, around the country, around the world. That's what we call it here in the northwest. It's settle.
So 110. So
110. So 110 for the settle.
Break down your car payment to a weekly payment.
£200 for my car payments.
A week.
A week. So straight away, that's £310.
Yeah.
A week. And then if you go and take into account the fuel that I use in mine, so you're on about £40 a day.
So times six,
which is you're looking at about 220. Is it 220 quid?
I'll put that in, yeah. So before you can leave the
front
door, you've got to find 530 quid a week.
530 quid a week before I start making any profit
before
whatsoever.
Before you've even left the drive, before you've even driven away. So already you've shelled out 530 quid. I've shelled out 330 quid. So
now this is where the argument of if you have your own car, is it more beneficial for you? Let's not forget though, what we haven't said into this is the fact that yes, it's 530 quid for me, 300 and something for him. But what we've not put into that is the fact that if you have to cover your own maintenance costs at the same time, so you're looking at tyres, you're looking at, any kind of sort of like problems that you've got with your bus, your car, it doesn't matter. They all add up as well, and there can be days and weeks where you are spending out literally near enough £1,000 a week before you've even made anything, just because your car's broke down.
And that is the nightmare of owning. I used to be an owner, a vehicle owner. It was a nightmare. Every morning when I switched the engine on, I wasn't sure whether the car would make it through the day. And it wasn't an old car, but it's just the cars on this job are used. Your box standard family size saloon car is built for 12,000 miles a year. We're doing that in a few weeks. We do that in 12 weeks.
You make sure that, obviously, we're not saying that everyone out there is dumb and stupid. You make sure that you keep up to date with all your services, and you make sure that everything is all in tip-top condition, obviously, for your vehicle to go. But the problem is, what will happen if you're on the road and your vehicle is just to be taken off the road? You've then got to try and find another sort of like hire car, or someone who will actually sort of like rent you another taxi for the next few days, because you don't know how long your one's going to be in for. All we're trying to say to you is this: The beauty of this job is that you can do whatever you want, wherever you want, and you can go to the golf course whenever you want to feel like and go and smack a few balls about. That's absolutely fine.
But
you are going to have to put the hours into this job, and that is the killer for a lot of people in this work.
Every week before you start work, you've got 530 quid.
Correct.
I've got 330 quid before we even turn a key. That's everything that's there. Now, put on top of that your house rent, your bills, all as well. So you've got an extra in your budget. You've got to find an extra 330 for me, 530 for you, every single week before you start work. So you're going to have to put in some hours to cover your rent, your household bills, your rent, your mortgage, your water rates, your gas, your electricity, your food, all that, as well as you've got to find on top of all your bills an extra 330, 530 every single week, and that never stops. That is why the job, you're always under pressure in the job.
It is.
And also, Michael Caine, and another thing, and also, basically, what you got to look at as well, renting or owning. If you've got your own car and your car goes off the road and you need a car for like 4 days, they're not going to rent you one. A lot of rental companies now, it's like a minimum 3-month rental. The place I'm with, it's a minimum 3-month rental. So if you go in there and say, I need a car for 2 weeks, you're not going to get one. You're not going to get one. So
unless I do know some insurance firms that do where they have breakdown cover on them, will actually sort of like give you a taxi from a rental place to cover while your one is off the road. I do know that.
That's on some insurances.
On some insurances. But so always make sure you shop around and make sure if that is the case and you are a taxi driver, make sure that you get like I'm with the RAC. I've got the business cover insurance, which means that if I've got like 7 people in my bus and it breaks down, they will be getting taken home by the RAC for me, you know what I mean, as like cover. So always please make sure you shop around.
Don't skimp on your insurances either.
No.
Because it'll hit you in the backside quickly. You got in this job, I found, if you try and do it on the cheap, like try and buy cheap tyres, try and get the cheapest insurance, it bites you on the bum time and time again.
We're not saying it doesn't work for people. There might be people out there now that will look at the video and go out and go, you two don't know what you're talking about, and that's it. Listen, our opinions, that's what it is. That's all we keep on saying to you. It's our opinions. We're just trying to help people out there that if you want to get into this game, you might know somebody who does it completely different to us and goes, they don't know what they're talking about, we'll do it like this.
People have asked me about, do you want to come into it? Because they see the videos and they say, oh yeah, we're driving around and it's great. It is great. And check out the video this month, East Midlands video. Now, I'm driving around East Midlands, it's lovely, it's great, I'm earning money, but you must remember, you've got to get that money in before you do anything else.
Let's put it like this. If you checked out my video last week, which was me actually doing my first vlog, which was me doing the New Year's Eve, let me tell you one thing now. It wasn't as busy as what a New Year's Eve usually is for taxi drivers out there. I'll be honest with you now, I started at something like 5:25 in the afternoon and I finished at sort of like 3 o'clock in the morning. The eyelids couldn't take it no more, but the thing is, it just went quiet. Way quiet.
And that's pandemic.
And it's the pandemic. And the thing is, this is what's caused a lot of things where a lot of taxi drivers now have also gone on to move onto separate careers and gone on to different careers because people say that the taxi driving trade is not security kind of trade to be in at this moment in time.
But it never has been. It never has been like that. But
it never has, but it's your choice.
I was speaking to a lorry driver who moved over to lorries, but he ain't sticking it out because that's brutal. The hours in there are brutal, and the money, okay, it's good for the time being, but it's not as good as what you'd think, really.
Don't be a 9 to 5 taxi driver. There's one
impossible.
thing
Impossible.
You can't be a 9 to 5. You've got to put the hours in. I'm afraid that is the bit of the shitty work of the job. You've got to sit in your car for like 10, 12 hours, if you want to make a decent profit. And sometimes you can still be sitting in your car for 10 to 12 hours and not make a freaking good profit. But that's where he'll go like that and tell you it's a lot different with Uber, whereas I'll tell you this, it's a hell of a lot different with me. For the fact is, he's guaranteed a wage.
We're guaranteed the minimum wage. Now,
I'm not.
Yesterday, it was like January. it's always a bit quieter, isn't it?
It
Really,
is the quiet month.
You've got to put in the longer hours, but Uber, they do guarantee that minimum wage. Again, as I said in previous videos, I've always hit over the minimum wage, always have, but that's because I roam. I'm a roamer. I don't sit in one area. I treat Uber as the big, massive playground working area, and I move around the whole area. I don't sit in one area.
Do you know, if this was the time where we could actually sort of like had a music license, this is the bit where the B-52's roam would come in, just on that bit alone.
I roam around.
He roams around.
To sum up,
Yes.
I think it's a good, if you have got that real drive and determination and the will to win, you'll do well at the job. If you want to do your bare minimum and you want to go, I want to go out Saturday night, or if you're in a relationship and your wife works 9 to 5 and she says, I want you home every night, you're gonna struggle with it.
But on partners, your wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever it may be, as long as they support you and they see the fact that sort of like what you're doing is obviously trying to sort of like create a better life for them,
Yeah.
you will find that they will be very supportive of you. I couldn't do this job if my wife wasn't behind me, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I try and get the wife and the kids on a holiday every year if we possibly can.
Yeah, you can do.
And that is the beauty of this job.
Yeah.
But you have to put the hours.
It's sacrifice, isn't it? Really? Now, for the first time in years, I didn't wear Christmas and New Year this year. In years. Because I thought, I'm not going to. Just because I've worked the month for years. And this year I didn't. And I enjoyed myself. I went out and had a good time. But it's sacrifice. The job is definitely sacrifice. You can't mess about with it and you can't treat it as a hobby. It's a full-time, full-on, 100% commitment. It is your own business. Yeah, it's up to you how much money you make. If you do it right, you can make a good wage. But remember, the outgoings are always high.
So, all we can say to you is this, is the fact that sort of like, if you still want to be a taxi driver, just take into account exactly what it is you've got to pay out first, and make sure that if you're coming in, especially on the January, February period, you are going to be quiet, as well as we always say, the 6 weeks holiday for the schools. Always on a half term, it always seems to be the quiet time, but especially on the 6 weeks holiday is more the quiet time. Now, that's me speaking from up here in the Northwest. Where you are in the world, that might be completely different for you lot. As I can imagine, so like, you know, if you're like in a holiday destination somewhere around the world, taxi driving around on a 6 weeks holiday is absolutely a shocker, because obviously you've got all the influx of passengers coming in to your country. I know for a fact I'm one of them people, because when I get to Greece, the first thing I do is get up that airport and get myself into a taxi. So I know how chocker they actually
And you
are.
say, have you been busy?
No, the one thing I do
What
not
time
say
are you
to them
on
is no. I will never ever say that. I'm thinking about doing a jar.
What's a jar?
I'm doing a jar with a little sticker on the saying.
Oh,
anyone
yeah,
asks me the taxi
like a
questions,
tip jar.
has to put £1 in it.
Yeah. Have you seen that new app now where you put in the back of your car and it's for like tips? You can tip. It's like all you do, you just tap your card on this little box at the back of the cab, and it's a tip box, and it's an automatic tip box, and you just put your card against the tip box.
Oh God, no! I couldn't do that.
It goes to hit your bank account as a tip. Yeah. Hi, your driver is Lee. Hope you're enjoying the ride. If you want to leave him a little tip, just press the tip box with your card. You know,
No.
ping it.
I'm never getting one of them boxes. No, because I feel it's the customer's right. If they want to do it at the end of the journey, that's absolutely fine. I would not put a tip box
Well,
in the back.
you wear cash only, don't you?
Well, no.
Well, you do.
No, cash and cards.
Cash and cards.
The lovely sum up.
Yeah. Sum up.
Sum up.
Don't buy cheap sum up because they don't work. Get the next one down, the more expensive one, because the sum up are a little bit unreliable. I've been told. I don't use sum up because I don't have to. But
No, I can tell you that. He's absolutely right in that one. I've had 2 machines already.
No, they are not great.
No, they just keep on losing the Bluetooth all the time. You've got to keep on rebooting them.
Right. Okay.
So
Well, that is it from this LNG Taxi podcast. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Why don't you give us a subscribe? It's free to do, costs you nothing at all. This year, we've got videos every Wednesday. We're going into the East Midlands. I am very soon. We've got that video. I might do a night one there as well.
well, I did the night one for the New Year's Eve. That was quite sort of like.
That's going to be released as well. Like, just below here, it'll be below here, released as well. And also, we got lots more road videos. We're going to be testing Lee's bus this year as well. Look out for that. Lots more coming up on the LNG Taxi Vlogging Podcast, the only channel where we vlog and podcast in the same place.
So, on that note, folks, have a lovely 2022, and we will see you very, very soon. And if we do see you out on the road, please, as always, be nice, be courteous, and just have a nice time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are we off? Are we done?